Hi everyone, welcome back to FPL Fanatics. My name's Joel.
My name's Alex.
And this is going to be our team selection for game week 1. I am excited. I've missed football. I've missed FPL. Have you?
Oh, it's been too long. I as soon as the game came out, I made my first draft. It looks nothing like what you're about to see.
Mine's so different.
But I've had so many drafts on my phone, and I'm sure there'll still be a little bit of tinkering up till the day. But we're here now.
We're here now. Let's get into it. I want to see him. Should we start with mine?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Right, so in net, I've got Edison, which is not usually my style. I usually go for a 4.5 keeper, the budget option in previous seasons. But this season, I feel like, well, one is cheaper than previous. 5.5, I think, is a good price to get into that Man City defence. But also, I feel like the strategy this season, because of the World Cup and the break we get, and the fact that we get basically another wild card because of it, we get free transfers during the World Cup. I feel like my team now is kind of tailored for the short term because I feel like I'll be wildcarding in game week 5, 6, 7, 8. No later than that, I'd imagine. So I'm happy to go for Edison, not as a season keeper, but just for the first few game weeks where I can basically guarantee, at least, 4, 5, maybe even 6 clean sheets. It's Man City. I think he's more expensive, but I think he's just a safe bet. I think he's going to get points over those first few weeks, and that's what you want, really. And then in future, I can always change it when I wildcard. I'm sure, after the first few weeks, we'll get a good idea of who is a good value keeper. Because I'm not sure at the moment between Raya, Sanchez. I just don't know who to go for. Whereas Edison, I know, is a safe bet. So that's why I've gone for him. Then in defence, my first defender, Trent, of course. I mean, there's not much to say, is there?
Absolutely not.
Everyone's got Trent. I think he's as close to essential as you get. And there's nothing more to say on him. Gabriel, I've got next.
Ooh.
You like it?
Interesting choice. No, I've seen he's very popular. I didn't think he'd be a choice that you'd go for, personally, but yeah. I'm quite interested.
I wanted to tap into the Arsenal defence because I feel like they've got good fixtures. They've looked great pre-season. We'll get onto that.
Really good.
But I just wanted to tap into the Arsenal defence. I could have gone Ramsdale, but then if I went Ramsdale, I'd want another City defender, and that'd be probably Diaz, which would be 0.5 more. So this just works out cheaper. And I feel like Gabriel has got the most goal threat out of any Arsenal defender. Obviously, Zinchenko's just signed. He could be a great option, but we don't know exactly where he's going to play week on, week out. And even if he will play, he could get rotated with Tierney. I think there's just too many question marks over him, whereas Gabriel, I think he's got the most goal threat and is probably the most nailed in that backline as well, I'd say. So that's why.
He got 5 goals last season as well, which I think is most of any defender. So it's a good shout.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good shout.
Next up, I've gone Perisic.
Ooh.
So this is my probably the player I'm most unsure of in this draft, just because of he's risky, isn't he? He's risky. I had him in my first draft right when the game launched, but then he was, he had niggles. He didn't play any preseason, but he just played in the last preseason against Roma. I think he played 75 minutes. I didn't watch the game, but apparently he looked great, really attacking. I like the look of him. I'm excited by him, but he is risky. I think he's going to start game week 1, but there's obviously, you don't know for sure. And Conte's comments as well weren't the most, it didn't give me the most hope for him starting. He said he wasn't the Perisic that he knew, and he needs to get to full fitness. But way to get to full fitness, play some games.
Absolutely.
So I think he's going to start. But if we hear anything different before the deadline, he's probably the one that will be swapped out of my team. But I like him. I think he's exciting.
No, he's a good shout. I think he's really popular as well. amongst FPL. Although in recent drafts that I've seen, he's started to slip from some teams because of the reason I think you just said. So he's almost at the start. I think he was like one of the most. He's like the third or fourth most owned defender. Now he's come down slightly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think he's becoming a better pick the more that happens, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
I can't argue with it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more drafts now putting him back in just because of this last preseason game. But yeah, a lot of people took him out. I didn't have him for ages. This is the first draft that I've had him in since my first initial draft, I think. But I'm keen on him. And then my fourth defender is Kyle Walker.
Oh.
What, you don't like Kyle Walker?
No, I like Kyle Walker because I like what you've done. You've gone the cheapest way into a double Man City defense. My issue is, I think if they do sign another, like if they do sign Cucurella, which I know today's been linked with Chelsea, I also think if Ake doesn't go, that they'll play him left back and then move Zinchenko over to the right. So I think Walker could potentially.
Well, Zinchenko's gone to Arsenal.
Not Zinchenko. Cancelo over to the right, and then Ake left because he's left-footed. So I think Stones, Laporte, and Diaz, it rotates in the middle. But I think to give them a rest, I think it could happen. I mean, $5 million is a good price.
He is another risk in my team, but I feel like Kyle Walker's first choice in that City defense. I think.
Oh, he's a great defender. That's the thing. He's fantastic.
He's better than Ake in my eyes. I don't rate Ake that much, but I get what you mean. I think he could be rotated, but in the first few weeks, especially, I think he's going to start most games. And for $5 million for a City defender, I think he's a bargain. Really, I'm surprised not more people are on him. I know it's just because he's got that element of risk, but honestly, I think it's kind of minimal. I think he's going to play like every game at the start of the season. I don't see Ake taking his place.
It's a good shout, and it's like you said, double City defense, the cheapest you can get into it with City defense as well. Yeah, you can't really go too wrong unless they just stop. If they stop keeping clean sheets, though, that's when you think. But that's the issue with any double defense, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Man City is the safest pick for that.
Yeah, statistically.
Yeah.
Obviously,
the outlier is that I don't have Cancelo. He's the one that most people have in the City defense, but just Walker's $2 million cheaper. And I know he's got like next to no attacking threat. I understand that, and Cancelo has got a lot of attacking threat. That's my main worry. But for $2 million cheaper, it just allows me to do more exciting things throughout my team. I like him. I think he's a bargain.
Sounds good.
Right, onto my midfield. Mo Salah.
No surprise there. Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
As well.
Not much needs to be said. He's going to be my captain game week 1 as well, spoiler. But I think he's going to be most people's captain, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's the best FPL player that's ever been. There's not too much to say on him.
No, I agree. I think he's scored every single beginning game every single season when he started, hasn't he? I think so. It's like you bet on him to score again, so why would you not captain him, really, for first week?
Absolutely. Yeah, he always bangs first week, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
And then next to him, I've got Luis Diaz. He's partner in crime.
Yeah.
See, again, the debate here is Diaz or Robbo. And for me, I think Robbo's probably the better pick in isolation, to be honest. But it's not as simple as that, because if you go for Robbo, it totally alters your team structure, because then I can't get another 8 million mid in my midfield, and I really like that 8 million midfield slot. I think there's so many good options there. And I think there's other good cheap defenders, but there's not as many good cheaper midfield options. And I think Diaz will do really well this season. I think people are overlooking him again. Although, well, maybe not. I think a lot of people have got Diaz, but I think he's going to do great. And he's more exciting to me than Robbo.
He's the more exciting pick. Yeah, I'll admit that. I think the only caveat is watching the Community Shield the other day. They asked because Mahrez doesn't defend on one side. Robbo was one of the highest players on the pitch.
That's true.
And obviously we know he's got a delivery. And it's the only other thing is how many minutes is he going to play? You know, when Jota's back, you've got Firmino and Nunes fighting out top. You've also got Carvalho, who's gonna looks like he's gonna get some minutes if he's not going out on loan. That's the only concern. But I think for $8 million, he's a really good price, and I think he's probably underpriced really for what he could deliver. But yeah, and he triple Liverpool as well.
I mean, he could be the next Mane, and Mane was 11 million.
Absolutely. No, it's a really good shout and a popular shout, to be fair.
I get what you're saying, though. When I watched that Community Shield, I thought Robbo was one of the best players that match. And I was like,
yeah, absolutely.
I am scared of not owning him.
Yeah.
My next player is Martinelli.
They're very nice.
I didn't have him for a while in my drafts because I had him towards the end of last season and he got rotated a lot with Smith Rowe, more than I expected. So that is a concern. I think him, Perisic and Walker are my three risky players. But the more I think about it, the more Martinelli's he's going to start 100% game week 1. And I think he'll continue to start until he starts to perform poorly, which he might not do. I think it's his spot to lose now. Smith Rowe's coming back from injury. I think he was training, but he's not getting into that side until Martinelli loses his spot.
Yeah, $6 million as well is one of the cheaper midfielders, but Martinelli's he could easily get a hat trick game week 1. Like you can see it. He's one of the players that you can think of that could happen. Do you know what I mean? And for $6 million, you can't really argue that. Yes, it will come off though. Like it's guaranteed that it will come off. You'd take an hour of Martinelli, wouldn't you, for $6 million?
Absolutely, that's it.
Yeah.
As long as he gets a decent amount of minutes, he will get rotated most games. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, $6 million, it's hard to argue with.
Absolutely.
And then my last midfield spot, I've got Mason Mount. Another £8 million midfielder. Because I love that spot. I think there's so many exciting picks there. And Diaz and Mount, and I think are the best two from that. Saka's close, but because Martinelli is £2 million cheaper, it kind of makes that decision for me. I really like Mount. I think he's a great player. I think he's improving season upon season, and I think he will improve again. I think this will be his best season. And he's got Sterling there as well to play off now. I think them two are going to link up really nicely together. Again, he excites me. He's one of the few players in my team where I'm just like, I'm glad I've got Mount. I think he's less than 10% owned. So
he is.
I am very keen on him.
I can't argue with that.
Right, forward line. I've got Jesus, as I think most people have. He's the most owned player in the game.
That's mad. Who would have thought that at big, think of the end of last season. I know he got his big move, but if you thought of end of last season and you told me Jesus will be the most owned, possibly come just right at the start of game week 1, we don't know, that could change. Right. But if you told me that, I'd have been like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And it's been on fire.
Yeah, 70% owned at the time of recording, I think. That's crazy. But yeah, he has been on fire. I think he's got 7 goals pre-season?
Yeah, 7 goals.
Got a hat trick.
Assist, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to ignore for $8 million.
Yeah, you can't ignore him. You can't.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that he's so highly owned because he's one of those exciting players, and that he could do really well.
Yeah, he's got a point to prove as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. For my last spot, I've gone Kane.
I like it.
It's between him and Haaland, obviously, and I've been back and forth many times. But at this moment, I'm quite settled on Kane. Haaland's obviously going to do amazing. He's going to absolutely smash it. It's just, will he smash it right from the off? Probably. But
yeah, probably. Sure.
But Kane, we kind of know he's like, we know what we're getting with him. There's no risk involved with Kane. He is going to smash it, like almost guaranteed. Haaland could obviously do better, but Kane is almost a safer pick for me, even though he's less owned. And I just think the first fixture, Southampton, is better. And then I am tempted to do the move from Kane to Haaland in game week 2. Obviously depends on if Haaland price rises, because then I might be priced out. And I don't like booking in transfers, but I think Haaland against Bournemouth is just So maybe I should go Haaland, but
shout.
Yeah, absolutely. I just trust Harry Kane more at this moment. I think, as you saw in the Community Shield, Haaland played well. He made some great runs, but him and the team haven't quite linked up perfectly yet. Like, players were just... City play very possession-style football. It's almost like they were too scared. Not too scared. Didn't release the ball quick enough to him, I don't think. And I think they just need a bit more time to play together before he really, becomes unleashed. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I to be honest, I think it might be a bit of a different conversation if Haaland would have scored at that City that he missed.
Very true.
And I think if he scored that, more than likely, most people would still be going for Haaland. I think the issue that I have with Haaland is that I'm still not entirely sure how many games he's going to start. Really? Kane, though, come game week 1, he's locked, loaded, firing in pre-season. If I didn't have him or Son against Southampton when last time, as we all know, 4 goals for Son, a goal and a hat-trick of assists, I think, for Kane. I mean, that alone, even though it only happened like 2 seasons ago, it could happen. It could, Southampton has the tendency to like collapse at any time, and I think with Conte there, I think Kane could be he could be a great captain pick as well. But I mean, it's hard to go against Salah, but I think he could be really good if you want to go for it, or you want to just go a little bit, have the template maybe, but go against it a little bit with the captaincy choice. It could work out well, but yeah, I can't argue with Kane.
I think it would work out. I think you could go for Kane or Salah or Son. I think they're all going to score game week 1. I don't think you can go wrong, really. Salah's just my boy. But yeah, I think it's a toss-up between Kane and Haaland. I think either one, I think you're fine with, to be honest. I've just gone for Kane game week 1. I think it's better fixture. And then my bench fodder, I've got Ward as my goalkeeper, because apparently Schmeichel wants to leave Leicester.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, and I think Brendan Rodgers came out today saying that between Ward and the other keeper, what's he called? Ivaness? Oh, I don't know. Goalkeeper.
Could not tell you.
He's not even in the game yet. But he said it's between them two for the first choice keeper. If Ward starts for Leicester at 4 million, he's going to be the most owned player in the game.
Oh, absolutely. I think I've heard the rumours, but I didn't know how realistic they were, because Leicester and Schmeichel to me are like, I feel like it'd be, he's the captain. I feel like he's not going to leave. So to hear that, I just don't know whether it will happen or not. But yeah,
it's a weird one.
It's a good shout.
Yeah, and I've got Nico Williams, as many people have. Decent 4 million option. The other choice is Patterson for Everton, but I think Nico Williams is just more nailed on for Forest. Then I've got Pereira, 4.5 midfielder, as everyone has. And then the one, the only, my forward, 4.5 million. It's only Plange.
Who's Plange? That's what I want to know. Tell me who Plange is.
I don't know who Plange is. He plays for Crystal Palace. I think he might have played a bit of pre-season and he looked good. Realistically, I'm never going to need this slot ever.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and he's not going to play, but
Fun
name, innit?
Is that your whole reason?
That's my reasoning. This is expert analysis here.
Plange. I like it. To be fair, it was in one of my first drafts as well, mainly for the name, and I also really like Palace's kit on my screen. Quite like
it looks
kit,
good.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly set on this team. I think my only issues with it is Perisic, Walker, and Martinelli are obviously risks-ish. I think Perisic is the most at risk, and then Walker, but. Again, like I said, I think they will both start. And looking at this draft, the thing I love about it is all 11 of my outfield players, are playing for a top 5 side, which I think is crazy that you can have that. And to me, it still looks half decent.
Very nice.
The thing I'm worried about is a lot of people are going big at the back because there's so many good options. Like I haven't got Cancelo, I haven't got James, I haven't got Robbo. Like these players do scare me. But in place of now, I've got Mount and Diaz, and I've still been able to cover the City defence, Spurs defence, Arsenal defence. So, I really like it. What do you think?
I do like it. I've had the Walker Edison combo in a few drafts on my phone because it does enable you to do quite a bit as well. The only thing I say, I really like that you got everything like in your top 5 teams, but there's always that one or two players who really shine from like outside that top 5. Like look at Bowen last season, and I get you could easily like with your 2.8 mils, you could easily downgrade someone like say I don't know Grealish catches fire or Zaha or someone like that. You could downgrade them. I completely get that.
Exactly. Yeah, the flexibility is there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's there's plenty of love around Neto and Podence at Wolves as well with Jimenez out. I don't think they're the best attacking team. That is one thing that I think avoiding them is for probably a good reason. But I think Neto is a really tidy player, and I know he's on the cheaper price point. But it's one of the things where if you did that, you could upgrade maybe Walker, to like a Cancelo or a Robbo. But then obviously if you've got the Diaz issue. I think the only. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I agree. This is my first draft without Neto in. I've had him in all the others.
Yeah.
Because initially I had instead of Martinelli, I had Neto. Instead of Perisic, I had Reece James. But I've just switched them in this latest draft now. I think I prefer it purely because, like you said, Neto's a great player, but Arsenal are just a better attacking team than Wolves, and I think that's just the difference for me. I think Martinelli will perform better.
And no Reece James, like he's the second most owned defender, I think, or it might be the third.
Wow.
To be honest, I understand why you haven't gone for him. Tuchel's come out and said we're not ready, which is not great. I also think though, if they don't sign another centre back, I think Reece James could be playing that right centre back position if they play a back 5. If they don't play back 5, I don't really like them as much anyway. Because obviously back 5 they're playing in midfield practically. And to be honest, I'm a big fan of Chilwell, but I just don't think he's going to start the season with Alonso still there. If Alonso stays, I think they're not going to rush Chilwell back because I just think Chilwell's the bigger goal threat, if you like, because he's just last season he was shooting for fun, whereas James is more of an assister, and I think probably more consistent. But with Tuchel's comments, I kind of like no Chelsea defence, but the issue with that is you're just not covering it all, so you could get punished.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Chilwell's a great player, but I think him and Alonso are going to rotate heavily in the first few games. Yeah. And like you said, if they do go to a back 4, I feel like Reece James isn't worth the 6 million price tag anymore. If they play a back 5, then yeah, he's absolutely, he's unbelievably explosive. I'll be scared going into the season without him, but you've got to make sacrifices, right?
Yeah, I think where you've where you're a bit of a differential is the 2.8 million midfielders. I haven't seen many drafts with two price points because, like you said, there's like 7 players there, or you could have any one of them. And I think the fact that you've got 2 means you can take almost a bit of a risk on the second one, really, if you wanted to, because you've got that one to cover, which is what most people's got. It seems to be Diaz. So you can kind of have a bit of fun with Mount, and I do really like that pick. And the fact that he's under 10%, I think, owned at the minute is kind of crazy. I think so. I don't know if it's because people can't fit him in, or they're getting Diaz as first choice rather than Mount. Yeah,
he's a phenomenal player, I think. And also,
he's a great player.
I think one of the reasons I've chosen 2.8 million midfielders, I feel like at the start of the season, teams tend to score more goals. I don't know if that's just in my head, but it feels that way. And so I look at this midfield and my forward line, and I can see a lot of goals there. I really like the attacking players.
No, I like it. I think it's a strong draft. We've obviously. You're welcome. I shouldn't be saying that. I'm trying to rival you. But no, I really like it. I think you've got some differentials in there in themselves, and like you said, the big differential is the fact that they're all playing for a top 5 side. Like you can't really argue with that on paper. The only thing is like you said, you've got the ability to move on to them kind of players who become popular. You know, if they get an hat-trick or something and they're a bit cheaper and they're not from a top 5 team. Whereas I think most people have got 1 or 2 already in there, like, you know, the likes of Neto or even Marcus Rashford. Because I think I'm not sure about Man United. I'm obviously a fan, but I want them to become eligible, but I'm also a little bit unsure whether to start with them. I think he'd be someone who I'd bring in at a later point, but you've got that covered. Like you could downgrade. Well, the only issue is if someone does, you know, kind of catch fire, but Mount and Diaz are kind of ticking along. Where do you get the funds then to go, you know, from possibly Martinelli up, or you know, you're going to have to take it from somewhere, and you've got no room to maneuver on your bench, which hopefully you won't need your bench. I don't think, because like you said earlier, there's only 6 or 7 weeks really until we'll probably wild cards, like most people will. So I don't think it's too much of an issue, but. Yeah, see, I'm a big fan of having a decent first sub. I don't know why. I just feel a bit more comfortable. But the issue is, you're slightly downgrading someone on there to do that. So,
I like it as well. Just having even just a 4.5 defender on your bench is
absolutely.
It feels more comforting, doesn't it, rather than having Nico Williams. But at least Nico Williams, I'm pretty sure he's going to start every week.
It should start. And
and hopefully I won't.
He's the best one you're going to get. Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Right, can I see yours?
Yeah, let's move on to mine then.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we'll start at net just like you did. So in net I've got Edison as well.
Wow, okay.
Edison's pretty much been on a lock for most of the drafts that I've had. I did toss up between having Alisson in the net. So the reason for that is, like you said, I think the premium keepers this year have come down just enough to kind of warrant it. And I think they're the cheapest way into both defences, apart from Kyle Walker, obviously, like in your side. The reason why I went for Edison was Alisson takes out a Liverpool spot, and I think at any point Núñez could catch fire, Trent, Robbo, Diaz, Salah. It'd be too hard to get out of Alisson into, you know, another spot. So that's the main reason why I've gone for Edison over him, and the fact that again he's a cheap way into the best defence in the league. I'm not a big fan of that opening fixture, if I'm completely honest. I'm not. Like, I think West Ham will score. But the rest of the fixtures, like you said, I can easily see 6 clean sheets there. So there's not too much more to say about him, really. I think, like you said as well, I was thinking about 4.5 and then where I could utilise that extra million. But I'm not sure who the best 4.5 is. Like you said, I also think Dean Henderson could be a really good 4.5 mil. But Nottingham Forest got a tough start to the season, so that kind of eliminates him. I also think one keeper who is getting slept on is Jose Sarr. He was probably, for me, I can't remember if he was or not, but in the team of the season in terms of a goalkeeper last year. I think towards the back of the year, Wolves kind of disintegrated a little bit. But I think if they've had a bit of a pre-season, bit of a rest, I think he could be like a really good one at that 5 mil price bracket. And I think if Wolves do start off strong defensively, he could be a really good shout.
He was phenomenal last season, wasn't he? But like you said, towards the end of the season, Wolves defensively really went downhill. And I think it's just a bit risky to go with him straight off the bat this season when we don't know how they're going to perform, really.
Absolutely. And I'm not entirely sure, because I know Roman Saiz has gone as well, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to set up at the back. So that doesn't sit well with me for the start of the season. Having said that, wildcard time, 7 or 8 weeks, if they're performing pretty well, he could be a really good shout.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving on to we'll say right back. Trent. I mean, he's not changed in any drafts. Like every other person's changed at least once, even including the magnificent Salah, just to try it out. But Trent's not left at once. I expect 200 plus points at the very minimum, if I'm completely honest. And I think if you ask anyone if they've not got Trent in, who they're most fearful of, even above like the likes of Cancelo, it'll be Trent. So why put yourself through that? Just get him in. That's too cheap as well.
He's in every draft, isn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right, moving on to the next pick then. I've got Kieran Trippier.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Kieran Trippier. So my main thoughts around that is I think Newcastle are going to carry on where they picked up, carry on where they left off last season. And I think Trippier's getting overlooked slightly because he got injured after a couple of games. And he's on set pieces galore. Newcastle are really good in the air. He'll be on corners, so if he's having a bad game, he's still got that chance of getting, an assist. He's on free kicks, as we know. He rotates quite nicely with someone else who I'll mention a little bit later. So that is the main reason why he's in. I think 5 mil is a good price for him because everyone else in that defence, apart from Target, is 4.5. So I did look at like a bit of a budget Newcastle option, such as that the new guy, that Botman.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Like I'm not seeing him play, so I don't know if he's got a goal threat. Is he going to be a bonus point magnet? I don't know. Whereas Trippier, he's pretty much one of the first names on that team sheet if he's fit, I would say, because he's a leader, he's a good player. So 100%. So I've gone for Trippier. Surprised with that one? What do you think?
Not really. I think he's a great option, to be fair. He's very attacking. My only concern is, and you might have a workaround through this for the rest of your team, but game week 3 they play City, game week 5 they play Liverpool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. That's enough for me just to not pick him.
No, I do agree. That was the one thing. That was when I was looking at a team. The one weakness, the only weakness, I think, because I think Newcastle, like I said, I think they will be a good team again this year. I don't think they will have the start like they had last year. I also still think there's probably a few players still to come in, and obviously it doesn't end till the end of August. So I still think they're going to get a few talents in. Callum Wilson's back fit as well. He's such a good striker.
He's great, ain't he? He's class. I really rate Callum Wilson.
Absolutely. So I've took a little bit of a risk on him here, but we'll come on to it a little bit later as to and you might be able to understand maybe more why I've gone for him.
Sure.
So moving on, I've got another big boy. I've got Cancelo in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've got Cancelo in.
Makes sense because the last time we spoke, the last draft you showed me, he wasn't in there, was he?
No, he wasn't in. Because I kept thinking. So another reason why I was thinking about Alisson as well, right, was because in one of the drafts I had earlier, I had Edison and Robertson as a combined two. But then I was thinking Cancelo underperformed last season, I think. And I just think he's one player when I watch, I can't watch him play because I think he could literally he could just do anything. And I kept thinking, how do I get him in? And he's in this team, and I've managed to make a team I'm quite happy with, and he's managed to get in. You'll see that I've had to take a little bit of a hit somewhere else, sure. Just because 7 mil and 7.5 in the defence is already a lot of money. But I just think he's one of them players that 7 mil you would pay for it. Like if I think of 7 mil for him, and I think it's 7 mil for like Bernardo Silva, I think I'm gonna go Cancelo all day, every day.
There's tons of value in there.
Yeah, and I just think he will step on again this season, and I'm not scared of not having him. I do want him because I just think he will be better.
I'm a bit scared of not having him.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, you have still got that double City defence at least. Most
True.
people might just have one, so you've still got a little bit of kind of cover there if they do, you do pop off. And then moving on to the last one, so spoiler alert, I've gone four at the back. This player hasn't changed from last time I spoke. I've got Matty Cash in there.
Okay.
So they've got a really good first couple of games. And I won't lie, in my mind, he's one of the players that could go before that wild card because I just think the first 3 games are really, really good. He can definitely play, whereas when Newcastle have Man City, I can drop Trippier and still play Cash at least. So because he's got a really good fixture in that week.
True.
I was flicking between him and Digne, I won't lie. But I just think Cash is the bigger goal threat. He's just the much bigger goal threat, whereas Digne is a little bit more assist heavy, and he's on some corners as well. So he's got more of a chance of getting an assist, but Cash is more exciting. Like he'll bomb, and he might have a tap in, or he might have a 30-yard screamer. And I just think he's so high on confidence as well from going from last season. And with them first 3 fixtures against, I think 2 of them against new promoted teams, I'm going to back him at 5 mil. Yeah. I thought he was going to be higher, to be honest, based on his points that he got last season. So 5 mil, I think is pretty good for him.
Yeah, I think he's dropped in price. I think he was 5.5 last season, was he? Or maybe
was he 5.5 last season?
I think he was. I might be wrong on that, but yeah. I think he's a good pick. I agree. Like you said, his first 3 fixtures: Bournemouth, Everton, Palace, really good. But then I agree. After that, it might be a transfer out because then he's got West Ham, Arsenal, City, Leicester. You wouldn't really want to play him in many of those. But yeah, for the first 3, I think he's a great pick.
Yeah. So moving on to the midfield, we'll start with Leon Bailey.
Yes.
So when I made a little bit of a sacrifice, I think Leon Bailey's the guy because originally it was I had like Rashford in there, I had Neto in there, and I've made some more money and gone to Leon Bailey. I think again when he played last season, I remember him coming on and scoring 2 goals and an assist in 10 minutes for one at games for Villa, and he's an exciting pick. And I think Steven Gerrard really, really likes him, and I think he's one of them players who's going to be fighting for a spot. It's just his fitness. That's the only issue. But for 5 mil, there is every other 5 mil player I can think of is a CDM, and he's not. So he's a risk because he might not play every game, but he's only 5 mil. So I don't mind as much as, if you've pushed it on 5.5, 6, I need them to be starting. Whereas 5 mil, it's such a good price point for him, and he can be so explosive, and he has had a good pre-season. I think, again, though, same issue with Cash. Their fixtures get tough later on. But for 5 mil, you see, you can bench him. Yeah. It's not like 2 out of the, out of reach, where like Neto, most people will have to play Neto every game, especially with some of the teams that I've seen. Whereas Bailey, 5 mil, saving 0.5 there as well. I think he's a great shout, and I think he's still a bit of a differential as well compared to like the likes of Neto and Rashford.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I like him. He's been in my drafts before. Like you said, 5 million. It might be a risk, but it's a minimal risk, isn't it? Like, you're not going to be devastated if he doesn't start, and I think he will start. I think he has worked his way during pre-season into that starting lineup now, because he's just been on fire, hasn't he? I think he's a great player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just can he carry that form into the season? Can he stay fit? Is he going to play? Is he going to be that first? Because if come first game week and he doesn't play, that will set a little bit of doubt in my mind. And again, then to upgrade him, it's finding the money for that as well. So that is an issue that I think I do have.
I think he's,
with him.
I think he's 90% to start game week 1 in my eyes.
Well, that's why he's in there, because I think the same. It's more just, if he has a couple of bad games, is he going to get dropped? I think if anyone's going to get dropped, could be him. But we'll see. I don't have to think too far in the future with this one, which is a good thing. Exactly. Which is why I can take a few little risks here and there. Moving on to someone who's not a risk at all, in my opinion, Mo Salah. Like, just exactly the same as you. I only took him out of one draft, and that was just to try and see what I could do with the money. Just to see what I could do. The team just didn't look as good without him in it. He will be my captain as well. Yeah. I don't think that is a spoiler anymore. I think he will be most captained, unless you're trying to just be different. But I don't think you need to be different on the first game. I don't think you really need to. Later on, maybe, but there's no point in taking a risk to me. So I'm not even thinking about not having him in. It's just not worth it. Yeah. And then I've also, moving on to another player, I've also gone similar route to you, Mason Mount. So I've got Mason Mount as well. I think I'm not as worried about Chelsea in terms of an attacking sense now with Sterling there, because I think Sterling will make the runs, and Sterling might be on the receiving end of some passes from Mason Mount. He's on corners, and free kicks as well. So even if, again, like Trippier, if he has a bad game, he's still got a chance of pulling something out. I think their fixtures are great as well, at least for the first 6 or 7 game weeks from what I can remember. I was back and forth between Luis Diaz and Mount, but I just think Mount is more than likely going to be 90-minute man, even with the 5 subs.
Good point. Yeah, I agree. He's excited, right?
Yeah, so Mount and Diaz are both exciting, but I think I'm a little bit biased as well in terms of that he's English. I want him to do really well as well for the World Cup coming up. And I think I want a Chelsea player. And I think out of everyone, he's, again, one of the first team players on the team sheet, I think. And if he's not, I don't think the player as well. So, and I think with Sterling there, Sterling could easily either run down the wing and tap it into the box. Mason Mount could be there, or Mount can send him through, and we know he's got pace. So I think he's a good shout. I can't really look past him. I also do really like James Maddison, but just the first few weeks the fixtures aren't as good. But I think he might be one for the first wild card.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too much to say about him really, is there? Because you've picked him as well, so you must like him.
Said,
yeah. And then we've got another player, the same again, Martinelli.
Yeah.
I won't lie, this morning I've swapped him out a couple of times for another player. I'll tell you that player. I will be nice. I'll tell you that player. I really like Martin Odergaard. I think he's the captain now, and I think he's gonna step on. a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think if he's the captain, he's more than likely as well not going to be the ones to be sacrificed. Martinelli, as we said earlier, he could easily be subbed. Or, not easily, he will be, I think. Because I just think, like you said, Smith Rowe there. If Smith Rowe's fit, you're not going to not bring him on. Especially when he's got the knack of scoring when he comes off the bench. Why would you not do that?
And with the 5 subs rule this season.
And exactly. Because I think Odegaard is probably a better all-round player, but Martinelli has the chance to just score an hat-trick like he did last year. Yeah. And everyone jumps on the bandwagon. I think 6 mil as well is a good price point. I agree. He's fairly nailed, I think. I think at least to start most of the games, again, he could come off. But I think an hour of Martinelli, keep him fit, an hour every game as well, more or less. I'd take that for 6 mil.
Yeah,
agreed. And he's an exciting player again as well. He's an exciting player. He just runs at people, and it's like, what's not to love there?
Exactly. Yeah. I like Odegaard, and I think he will do well. I just think Martinelli's just more attacking. He's cheaper. Yeah. I think he's the better choice. I think Odegaard is one of those players potentially who will assist the assister.
Yeah.
Whereas Martinelli's a lot more involved in goal.
No, I agree. I think he just might have a little bit of a nice swagger and a nice confidence about him with new captain. So I just think maybe he might have a good start to the season, then might drift off. But I think he will have a good spell at some point. I just don't know when that'll be. Yeah. Whereas Martinelli, I think he could do that at any time. So it's worth having him in. Moving on to the front line, I've gone Harry Kane as well. Nice. I'm still worried of that Haaland might not play that first game. I don't know why. There's just something bothering me that says that he's come out and said, right. I don't want to play every single game. He literally said that.
He said,
you think he would?
I'm just rest.
Yeah. I'm purely expecting. To be honest, I'm using that as a minute excuse just to go for Kane. Really, I just think like you said, you know what you're getting with him.
Yeah, sorry, I don't see any way Haaland doesn't start in week 1.
I think it's just me. I think it's just City. City put the fear in me.
I think you're looking for an excuse not to.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. And Kane as well is a differential compared to Haaland. In terms of how many people own him. And yeah, he's going to play 90 minutes, isn't he? He's on pens. Again, like you, I'm very tempted to make that switch game week 2. But also, Kane does perform well against the bigger teams as well. Like he's not just one for scoring against poor opposition. So, and if Kane does get an hat-trick first game, I'm going to find it very hard to sell him for Haaland, even though Haaland's got Bournemouth. So that's another thing where I was like, do I just go Haaland and just erase that kind of thought? But then I was like, no, because my gut's telling me that Kane is the better, more reliable pick, at least for the first game, at least. So I've gone for him. He's my vice captain as well, just behind Salah. Again, like I said earlier, Kane. I think Kane could be a great captain choice. So if anyone's wanting to make a bit of an impact straight away, I think Kane could easily do that, as well as Son. Son's just it's just too pricey, and he's just too much money. Yeah. And then last but not least, I mean, everyone under the sun's got him. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you not have him at the minute when he's on fire? He's very cheap for what he was last season, and that number 9 as well at Arsenal, and an attacking team like we've said. I mean, how can you not? I just don't think I can. I mean, and it's not the fact of I'm scared to not have him. I want him. So I don't know if I've convinced myself or what, but I want him. So it's not even the fact that he's 70% owned. Because if I didn't like him, and he was 70% owned, then I would go for someone else. I'm not doing it for that reason. Whereas like Haaland, maybe I could say it's a bit of missing out maybe as well. But Jesus is not. I just think he's on fire. Got a point to prove. I expect some good things from him for 8 mil, so I can't complain too much. And if he doesn't, everyone else is in the same boat. So it's not at the end of the world.
Yeah, totally agree.
Moving on to my benches, so this is where things are a little bit different. So the keeper, I've just got Gazaniga. Don't really know why. Is a good name.
Yeah, sure.
I think is it Fulham as well, and I don't see myself wanting to own too many Fulham players. That's probably another reason. Yeah, like you said though, if Schmeichel does leave before game week 1, then yeah, I think I didn't know that about Ward. I think that has to be right, because why would you not have him? Because Gazaniga's not going to play, so Ward, who's got a chance of playing, I mean, yeah, and I've got no Leicester players at the minute, so I think it's a great shout. So first on my bench now, this is where it's different. So I have got Zinchenko on my bench. A little bit of a thought process behind that.
Yeah, talk me through it.
He can cover Trippier for that game week 3 because he's got a good fixture, and he can cover the other fixture, I think game week 6 or 7 as well, because he's got a decent fixture there. The reason why he's on the bench at the minute is because it'd be rotating between Bailey and Zinchenko. I think when Bailey's got them tough fixtures as well, Zinchenko can play as well. I think when Trippier's got Man City, Bailey's still got a good fixture, so I can play him there. They do rotate quite nicely, even though I'm not entirely happy having him on the bench. Like, I would like to play him as well, but as I mentioned earlier, I like to have that one sub, because if for whatever reason, there's an injury just before the game, and I've got someone coming off the bench who I'm not entirely happy about, it puts me off a little bit. And Zinchenko, like I said, he's not entirely nailed. I completely agree with you. But based on the last previous game, he was playing like left wing back. And he's a great player. For Ukraine, he's fantastic. For City, he's been great and just not played. I think Arsenal would be fools not to play him, or just like Scotland with Tierney. So they've got Tierney and Robertson playing the same position. They put Tierney as that left centre back just so they can play both, because it's the best. They're the best players, but they're both in the same position. I can kind of see that happening roughly with Arsenal. If they play 5 at the back, I can see Tierney or Zinchenko at left wing back. I can see Gabriel, maybe Saliba, and maybe Tierney in that 3, and then whoever at the right wing back. I could see that happening, but I also think they could play him in that centre midfield role, which excites me as well. I think if they did play Tierney, maybe that's where Zinchenko gets played a little bit further forward. I just think they would not sign him and pay that money for him without plans for him. I think he just excites me. I think if he is playing out of position, people are going to jump on him very quickly. And it also does cover the Arsenal defence when I play him. But I think Palace might score against Arsenal. It's usually quite a hard game to keep a clean sheet against Palace. So that's the other reason why I've benched him at the minute. But it could potentially start if there's another problem. What do you think? What do you think about having a 5 mil first sub? And what do you think about Zinchenko as a whole?
I like him. I think he will play out of position. I think he could start in midfield potentially. I think he's very versatile to that Arsenal team. I think he could swap between playing in defence, playing in midfield week to week. We just don't know. And that's the thing why I went Gabriel over him, is just because I just don't know where he's going to play yet. But I think he's a great option. And I think he could be the standout one of that back line potentially. 5 million on the bench. I don't mind it. It gives more flexibility, it gives more balance to the team. And I'd probably I don't know. It's just, do you prefer Bailey over Neto then? Because if you downgraded Zinchenko to a 4.5, you could potentially, you could upgrade Bailey to Neto if you wanted to. But do you prefer Bailey?
I think for me, Bailey's playing in the better team. I think Wolves struggle to score, and I think Villa will be a lot better this year. Again, I think Bailey excites me more than Neto at the minute. But that could change after the first couple of game weeks. I think the good thing about this team though is I actually have 0.5 mil in the bank, so I could already do Bailey to Neto.
Wow.
But the reason why I've left 0.5 in the bank is for when price rises happen. If I did want to go Kane to Haaland, if I did want to do that, and Haaland goes up 0.1, 0.2, I can do it without risking anyone else.
Yeah, you're pretty safe there. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
So I could still downgrade Zinchenko to a 4.5. My issue is I'm not sure what 4.5 I would want. It'd be between 3 or 4, and I'd rather wait and easily downgrade, one of my 5 mil players, like Cash when I said about the game week after game week 3, downgrade him to a 4.5 when I've had a few weeks to see who's looking lively or anything like that. Then I'd have a mil to kind of play around with. So if Martinelli's not performing, could upgrade him to Zaha, for example. That's it's a bit of a jump, or Grealish or something like that. I think it gives me a little bit of flexibility as well that way. So 0.5 in the bank allows me to, even if I didn't want to change my team, I've just got that security. Like I don't have to think, oh my god, I have to get this player today, otherwise he's going to go up tomorrow. And then he gets injured, and I'm like, right, I've just got him for no reason. And I think that allows me that. I did struggle to get a team for 99.5 mil at the start, and then I'd really set my eyes on Bailey over Neto, because if that wasn't, I wouldn't have any money. But I don't know what it is. He just excites me. And that first 3 game weeks, I think, are the better fixtures anyway.
Yeah.
So I've just gone with that, and then we'll kind of reconvene afterwards.
Yeah, I suppose with 0.5 in the bank, after those first 3 game weeks, you could move him to Neto if Neto starts performing well. Yeah, you've got flexibility there. You've done well to keep 0.5 in the bank. I can't do it. I always find somewhere to tweak, to spend it.
I mean, let's be honest, there still could be a couple of changes. We don't know what's going to happen, but
it might go.
Exactly. But just to finish off, same as you, Andres Pereira, I think is the best 4.5 option, and he's going to play, and he's going to be probably one of their best players. And I'm saying that as a biased United fan, but he did have a really good shot on him. So for 4.5, you can't. And then forward, see, I did have Planching again for the name, but I also thought there's potential that eventually I could possibly move to Zaha. Could also possibly get a defender in if they perform really well. So I'm a bit like, I want to keep that Palace spot free. So I've just gone for Sam Greenwood at Leeds, because at the minute I have no idea what that team's really going to look like or perform. And I think he will come on. I think because of 5 sub rule, I think they will swap him. They will swap Bamford out for him or Gelhardt. But I think Gelhardt has the potential to start with Bamford as well, or vice versa. I think Gelhardt's that good. So I think Greenwood will definitely come on for that point, if that makes sense. Like Plange, I'm not sure, because they've got so many forwards, and you don't know who's going to start as it is, or we didn't last season certainly. And I think Plange, I think he might be below all the rest of them strikers, even though he might have had a decent pre-season. So I think I've purely gone for him because I don't know how many Leeds players I would want over the season without Rafinha there, and without, I don't think I'm going to touch them defensively. I think he's got a chance of coming on with this new rule. So I think I've just took a chance on him for that reason.
I mean, it doesn't really matter either way, does it? There is no way, though. No. There is no way that you're ever going to triple up on Palace at any point in this season.
No, I've said that as a bit of an excuse, to be honest. Yeah. But there is definitely a potential chance of doubling up, because if Palace, they've got 4.5 mil defenders, if they start performing really well, Zaha, I can definitely see me getting him at some point. He's had a great pre-season. He's just a bit of a trap. That's the only thing. He was a trap last season for me.
Yeah. And the
but he's on pens as
aren't
well.
Great at the beginning, but yeah, I could see myself owning Zaha at some point. I agree.
Yeah. So the only thing then is just a couple. The only concerns I have about this team is I've got 2 Liverpool players and not 3, which
I didn't even
I want
that.
3. Yeah, I do want 3. Right, that's the thing. I would love 3, and that's why I tossed between Edison and Alisson, because I'm like, I want 3, but if I get Alisson, like I said, I'm locked in. Then I'd find it hard to get. If Robbo catches fine, I'm like, I have to get Robertson. It's too much change in my team. Diaz, I can get in, and replace Mount with, if potentially. But I've tossed between Cancelo and Robertson, just because I've already got. If I've got Edison in, I've got the defence covered somewhat, and I was tossing between double Man City defence or double Liverpool defence. And I still probably think the Liverpool defence is better, especially with City's without Laporte for the first few weeks. But I think Cancelo could absolutely snap much more than Robertson. And that's kind of why I've gone for Cancelo over him.
Yeah.
But that could still change, I think.
See, I'm kind of thinking the opposite. I'd go Robertson over Cancelo, but I think City defence will be better, but Robbo will pop off more.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's tricky. I think they're both fantastic options, but I'd definitely be going Robertson over Cancelo, I think. Especially, like you said, since you've already got that City defender.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the changes that I could possibly make, because I think as much as this is a team selection, things like that are so neck and neck. It's very, very hard to decide. And I think what is also putting me off is that first game, double City defence against West Ham, who I think will score. Whereas Liverpool's got Fulham, then they've got, I can't remember who they've got the week after, but I'm sure it's like a non-top 10 side, shall we say.
They've got Palace Gameweek 2.
Is that away or is that at home?
That's at home.
Okay, so that's a lot better. And last time I remember a 7-2 win for Liverpool at some point a couple of years ago, I think. Yeah, I mean that's 100% one of the things. And I think whoever I go with, though, you see, if the other one does well, that's where that 0.5 it comes in really handy, because if Robertson went up by 0.1, I could never switch, whereas I could if I wanted to. And I think out of the rest of them, because of the Trippier, Zinchenko and Cash situation, I can rotate nicely. But I think the only other issue is Bailey. It's just if he starts. I think, like I said, I think he will. The only other thing I can think of is potentially downgrading Cash to a 4.5. Someone who works, again, rotates nicely with Trippier and Zinchenko, or covers Trippier when he's got a tough game. And I think Brighton might do quite well. Like, I really like Lamptey, but I just don't think he's guaranteed, every game.
I feel like we've liked Lamptey for like the past 3 years, and he's just never been a serious option yet, has he? He's just too injured.
No. Yeah, I mean, I really like Dalot as well, but I just can't. Every time I put a Man United player in, they just don't perform. Yeah, and I just need to see them, not in a pre-season game and playing like properly to see what happens first. And I still think Dalot could get rotated as well, so I'm not entirely confident on him. So I've ended up with Cash and Bailey, and that kind of like pool. But again, I think if news comes out or something happens, and because I think I also prefer Podence over Neto in the last couple of days. Because I've read some stuff that Neto tends to drift wide quite a bit, especially if he's not getting the ball, whereas Podence stays central a little bit. And the people have said that he would be the main striker in Jimenez's kind of absence, and Neto would kind of drift and come in and come deep a little bit. Right. So that kind of, I think, could be a differential in itself, but still get into that kind of, rival, that Neto pick that everyone seems to do.
Is Podence 5.5?
Yeah, he's the same as Neto.
Okay.
But then again, if I did that, I wouldn't have that 0.5 unless I downgraded someone else. And I just think, I don't know who the best 4.5 defender is, which is why I've kind of stayed away from it. And I can always downgrade, then upgrade someone else. I think that's like a sensible option. Because there's so many 4.5s and so many good 4.5s. I just don't know. I really like. I'd love to get into the Wolves defense if they start off strong. Like I said, United defense, a lot of them's 4.5, apart from Luke Shaw. You've got some other options at Newcastle, Brighton. There's quite a few options, but again, they're not in the top 5 or top 6, if you like. But they could do really well. Or they could be like, the go-to guys on their team. So I think give a few more weeks, then I might change my mind, or I might downgrade Cash anyway because of them fixtures. But I think that's the only issues I think I've got, which is not the worst problems to have. I think it's just more, I've just got that flexibility, which I kind of like. Whereas all the other teams I've seen, if one of their players doesn't play, they've got Nico Williams, which I think is fine, but we don't know how Forest are going to perform. They've got so many new players, so I don't know, how it's going to work or what system they're going to play or anything. So, but Pereira, I mean, they've just got a difficult start to the season as well, so I don't really want him to come on. So that's just another reason, and I think I can always change this after the first wildcard and then really put all my money into, because if I make some money as well, with squad value and the price changes and stuff,
absolutely.
could maybe, put it more into my first 11. But I think more or less, bar maybe one or two players, that will be the team locked in.
Yeah,
I think
I like it. I think it's good. It's well balanced. I think the having a sub like Zinchenko is really nice, especially when you can rotate him with Trippier or Cash for those fixtures that aren't great for them. And having 0.5 in the bank, it gives you a lot of flexibility, because you could change, like you said, to Robbo, but then also you could change from Kane to Haaland if he goes up. Yeah, I think it's good. Are you not tempted to maybe downgrade a couple of your 5 million defenders, and then you could upgrade, say, Cash to Reece James? But then I know it's not as strong overall maybe as a team, but Reece James is probably better than all Trippier, Cash and Zinchenko, right?
So some of the changes that I made earlier today was Cash in, James out. So I had James in. To be honest, I had Chilwell in for the most of the season, and then he's not really been playing pre-season, so I'm like, right, I'm not taking a risk on it. It's not worth it. Whereas James will play, it's just we don't know where. But it's just Tuchel's comments. I'm just not. I think I could get James in later, and let's see how they play. Let's see how they perform. Are they going to be a better attacking team than they are defensively? Whereas last season, they were quite good defensively, or at least the start of the season, they were fantastic. So I doubled up on James and Chilwell last season, and that was like a blessing in disguise. Remember when they both scored in the same game against Norwich? I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I just think the confidence is not there with the manager, and therefore I'm like, has it affected the players? I just don't know where he's going to play. And I think that's something to see in a couple of weeks. I know most people are starting with him, like I said, with how highly owned he is, but I've still got that 0.5. Again, downgrade Cash. I could always upgrade then to a Reece James. So I think the flexibility is there again, and I just think Cash, Trippier, Cancelo, and Trent are all nailed to play as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have to think about that, and I know where they're going to play.
Yeah.
So that is the only thing. But I do. But that's the same with you, isn't it? You don't have James either or Chilwell. No Chelsea defenders. So you must have thought very similar.
I mean, it's slightly concerning because either one of them can pop off at any time. We know how explosive they are. But like you said, there is a lot of uncertainty with Chelsea at the moment, and I think I'm okay with not starting with him. It worries me slightly, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. No, that sounds good. So that's pretty much our teams then. Like we said, semi-locked in.
Semi-locked in. Oh, it'll go down to the wire.
Semi-locked in.
But
absolutely.
I think I'm a 95% happy with mine.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I might end up changing Gazaniga to Ward though. Now that I've heard that what you said.
Yeah, we'll have to just see what happens there. That's the situation. Yeah.
But any updates that we make, we'll post our final teams on Twitter, because I think Twitter and Instagram maybe. Because I think any changes that we've made, we can reference in there.
Yeah, 100%. Go follow us to see our final teams there. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, same time next week.
Same time next week. Sounds good. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're going to be uploading every week, doing a team selection video. Possibly some deadline streams.
Absolutely, yeah. Time me up. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sounds good. Make sure to go follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and hit subscribe. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon, guys.